Over the last month or so, Terence Davis's name has been in the media for all of the wrong reasons, and it looks like the Toronto Raptors are going to have to make the decision to cut Terence Davis from their roster. So, how do you go about replacing Terence Davis? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 6 free agents who would be great replacements on the Toronto Raptors roster for Terence Davis. Let's get into it. Welcome to Amateur Sports, where we are getting very close to 900 subscribers on the channel. I'm very thankful for everybody who did hit that subscribe button. We're looking to get to 900 soon and beyond that to 1,000 plus. Thank you again to everybody who did join the movement of the channel. If you like what you see from today's video, you want more of myself talking about the Toronto Raptors 4 times a week, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Little bit of a slack off this week. I did not post on Saturday, so I'm going to get back to the regular scheduled content 4 days a week. Starting with today's topic, Terence Davis looks like he will not be a Toronto Raptor for next season. And in the event that does happen, I'm not going to jump to conclusions on this, but it looks like he won't be a Raptor. And in the event that he is not a Raptor, who can they replace him with without having to really trade anybody? Are there free agents available who can be suitable replacements in the Raptors rotation? I think there are 6 players the Raptors should 100% consider for that spot. So we know what Terence Davis brought. He was all rookie second team. He brought probably near 10 points per game when he actually got suitable minutes. He brought decent shooting, creation of his own shot, good ball handling, okay defense, good athleticism. It's going to be a loss. It's going to be a loss for sure, and you can't directly replace him. But guys who can fill in that role, I think that the best option in free agency is Alec Burks. So starting with that first, and I think best option, Alec Burks. He was on Philly for the last little bit of the season. Got traded there from Golden State, and what he brought to Philly was shooting. Something that Philly definitely lacked was shooting. Alec Burks is a very nice three-point shooter. Shot over 40% from 3 over the course of last season with Philly and with Golden State. He has a career three-point percentage of 42%. That would be a very nice addition off the bench because he's got still some decent ball handling. Matt Thomas is a really good shooter, but maybe he lacks a bit of the skill set that Alec Burks has. I think this would be a great replacement, not to get, starter minutes, not to maybe even get 6-man minutes, but to be in the rotation, just to have a guy who can really contribute on both ends of the court while also being a good shooter. With 12 points per game, he would bring decent offense for the Toronto Raptors. He had an offensive rating over 100 possessions of 120 in his brief stint with the Philadelphia 76ers. A defensive rating of about 111, which is a bit steep, but he's there for his shooting. He's going to be playing in little pockets, little spurts for the Toronto Raptors. He has the ability to get hot on any given day from 3. I think this would be a great replacement to have off the bench for the Raptors. The second replacement I think that could be in line to take that Terence Davis position isn't a UFA, it's actually an RFA. Alec Burks, a UFA. Chris Dunn is a guy I have in line to replace Terence Davis. He is an RFA with the Chicago Bulls. This guy isn't really happy about the money he's being offered by the Chicago Bulls. There truthfully isn't a ton of interested in Chris Dunn, mostly because of the injury problems he's had recently. He struggled with injuries last season, got less minutes than he did the season before. 2 seasons ago, he was getting 30 minutes per game. Last season, only about 24, 25 minutes per game. And what you can get out of Chris Dunn is defense, and very good defense at that. He's always up there in the NBA in terms of steals per game. Last season, 2 steals per game, but only those 7 points per game. The season before was about 11 because he was getting more minutes. He was healthy, but last season, 7 points per game. And right now, he's got an offer sheet of about $7.1 million, so not a ton of money. It wouldn't cost a lot to pry away Chris Dunn from the Chicago Bulls. Now, I'm not sure if Billy Donovan, a guy who likes to bring up youthful talent, I'm not sure if he's going to want to work with Chris Dunn. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I think Chris Dunn has a lot of potential on the offensive end, and he's already showing great signs in his early and young career on the defensive end. The Raptors, who pride themselves on being a very defense-oriented team, best in terms of opposition points per game last season, second best in terms of defensive rating behind the Milwaukee Bucks. The Raptors put a big emphasis on defense. And a guy like Chris Dunn, you're not playing these guys starting minutes, not even 6-man minutes. Just in the rotation, the ability to bring on Chris Dunn and be a defensive piece for the Toronto Raptors rotation, I think could make him very useful. Also, having this Raptors development team working on Chris Dunn, trying to unlock that potential he was showing on offense in his university career. And, over the course of his NBA career, that hasn't quite worked out. But who better than the Raptors development team to try and get something out of Chris Dunn? 2 seasons ago, when he was getting significant minutes, he was getting 11 points per game, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. Only 1.5 steals then. Last season was the 2 steals per game, but lots of potential for Chris Dunn. If you can get him on an offer sheet that Chicago doesn't want to match because they want to tie up money in other people, then absolutely, I think this would be a decent option. Just a defensive specialist to come off the bench wouldn't be a bad thing by any means. The third choice on the list for me is Avery Bradley, coming off a season with the Los Angeles Lakers where he had a bit of a subdued role than his earlier career in his time with Boston. But Avery Bradley is another defensive specialist, a 2-time all-defensive player. Last season only putting up about 8 points per game, but in his career has had seasons where he's averaging 14, 15, 16 points per game. The offensive threat is there, the playmaking ability is there, and most importantly, the defensive ability is there. And what is great about Avery Bradley is he has the combo guard ability. He can play as a point guard, as a ball handler, and can play as that shooting guard, can guard both positions as well. Since his 4th season in the NBA, and any season he wasn't playing with the Lakers, he was getting points, again, getting up to near 16 points per game, getting over that on some occasions. He has offensive ability, and those 2 all-defense selections show his ability to play defense. I think this is a very, very good option for the Toronto Raptors if Avery Bradley does not go back to the Los Angeles Lakers. Didn't play in the bubble last year, but over the course of the season, there were some good things that you liked about Avery Bradley, namely the defense, and the Toronto Raptors, again, love their defense. 4th choice, another unrestricted free agent just like Avery Bradley, is Reggie Jackson. Finished the season last year with the Los Angeles Clippers, where I think the highlight of his Clippers career was getting Luka Doncic to drop a killer buzzer-beating 3 in the playoffs on his head. I first of all want to know why Reggie Jackson was tasked with guarding Luka Doncic, but other than that play, Reggie Jackson, you know what he brings. He brings decent playmaking from the point guard position, decent scoring, nothing too tremendous, but again, just a solid role player to have in your rotation. Had good spells with the Detroit Pistons where he was getting, one season up to 18 points per game. Usually was in the mid-10s, 14, 15 points per game. This guy can bring you scoring. This guy can bring you playmaking, can bring you decent defense. There's a lot to like about Reggie Jackson as a role player. He brings a lot of the same things that other guys on this list may bring, but just another solid piece of the puzzle for the Toronto Raptors rotation. The Clippers liked what they saw there. I don't know. They have a lot of money tied up in other places. I don't know if they want to go back to Reggie Jackson, but Toronto definitely should be considering this guy. I like the other options more. I'm going in order from most likable to least likable, but still a fan of Reggie Jackson. Still know he can bring some good things to the Toronto Raptors. Another thing that's very interesting is that even though Reggie Jackson's career three-point percentage is about 34%, it has gone a lot better very recently. In fact, with his time with the Clippers, it was above 40%. And in the last 3 or 4 seasons, he's been shooting much more efficiently, getting above 35%, getting near 38% from 3. This would be a good development for the Raptors. Have a nice 3-and-D type player who can facilitate on offense. Again, a good option here. The 5th choice on the list, I made a full video talking about Drew Holiday's ability to play with the Toronto Raptors and if they should trade with him. Lots of you are interested in him. But now, how about Justin Holiday? Just came off of the season with the Indiana Pacers. This guy has been around. He's been to many teams in his NBA career, and what he can bring you is decent shooting, decent scoring, decent ability on offense, and okay defense. Defense isn't great, but it's also not bad. It's fine. It's good enough to play for the Toronto Raptors. His scoring, he can get up to 10 points per game and shoot efficiently from three-point land. He's got ability to score. He's got ability to play make, can play at different positions. Can play the small forward position, play the shooting guard position. He has good size at 6'6". This is another viable option for the Toronto Raptors to put in their roster if they cannot keep Terence Davis. Again, not as attractable as, the other first 4 guys on the list, but still an attractive option for the Raptors to bring in if they do feel the need to replace Terence Davis' spot on the roster. Again, having a guy who can come off the bench and hit his threes, participate on offense, not be a liability on defense is just going to be key in this decision. Just to bring in that nice role player, that nice 8, 9, 10th guy off the bench, that would be a nice guy to have in Justin Holiday. Now, the last option on the list, this is an internal upgrade. I love when the Raptors can bring up a guy within their own ranks, develop him into a bigger role. And I think that guy can be Paul Watson. Last week, I made a full video talking about Paul Watson if he is up next for the Toronto Raptors. And lots of you agree with it. Lots of you are liking what you see from Paul Watson and you want to bring him into the rotation. I also like what I see from Paul Watson. I think he can definitely fit into that role. I suggest you go check out the full video talking about Paul Watson. But what he brings is size, athleticism, decent playmaking, good scoring ability. There's a lot of upside to Paul Watson's game. Sure, he's a little bit older, but if you can bring him through internally, he knows the culture, he knows the system, he can participate with, seamless transitions. I think Paul Watson is definitely a guy the Raptors should consider if they feel like he's ready to make that next step. He had a fantastic season with the Raptors 905, averaging 19 points per game. He had that incredible last game of the regular season against the Denver Nuggets where he had 27 minutes off the bench, put up 22 points, obviously against the Nuggets bench pieces as well, but still an impressive display from Paul Watson. Again, I don't need to talk about Paul Watson for too long because I did make that full video on him, but again, potential is there. Athleticism is there. There was a lot that the Raptors development team can work with when it comes to Paul Watson. Because of that, I think he is a suitable replacement for Terence Davis on the roster. So there you have it. Those are my 6 best options to replace Terence Davis if he does get cut by the Toronto Raptors, if he is found guilty of these charges. Again, not jumping to conclusions, but just preparing in the event that this does happen. These options are available, and I think these are the best 6. I gave it to you in order. Let me know what you think about these 6 options. Who do you think would be the best replacement for Terence Davis on the roster? Was it one of the 6 that I gave? Was it another one that I did not mention? Let me know in the comments down below. But that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. Again, NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors 4 days a week. I'll get back to that regular scheduled content. My apologies for missing the video on the weekend. Usually we post Wednesday. I'm considering doing one tomorrow just to kind of talk about the Raptors options in the draft coming up this week. But we'll see what happens. I had no confirmation yet, but we'll see what happens there. Again, getting close to 900 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe if you like the content, you want to see more, and you want to join the movement of the channel. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.